Great, amazing points. And these lead me to the second question. Alawna, I'm going to start with you. Something that surprised you this year around your mental fitness.
Mm-hmm. What surprised me? Something I've been thinking about as like my fiance gears up to like go back to work, is just how important connection is to me. Like I've always known that, but truly like that physical connection point is so deep to me. I find it's so nice to be able to like head downstairs and have lunch with him after like a tough meeting or like this rough like work project. And now that I'm thinking about him going back to work soon and back in the office, I'm like, wow, I'm going to essentially like be alone. And I haven't been alone throughout this entire pandemic. I'm blessed enough to have somebody in the same house, somebody in the same work environment. So I think that's something that I've always been such a proponent for remote work, and I was doing self-employed stuff before him. But now I'm like, dang, my buddy's going to be gone. And that physical connection powers me. It fuels my tank so much more than I initially thought, in a way that I don't know if like going to a co-working space would, because there's not that community aspect that I'm looking for. So that's just something top of mind.
I can feel you on that one. When you've had a rough meeting, I take it for granted when you have a rough meeting, I can just go up to my wife and just start talking about it. And then we go for a walk. And then within 10 minutes, you've forgotten about it. Whereas if you were just on your own, you'd probably keep going, oh, why did that happen? How can I fix it? So yeah, that's something to think about. And I'm actually going for an offsite next week. I've had the joy of getting to spend so much time with my son. And now the thought of like not seeing him for 4 or 5 days. I remember when last year I went away to Nigeria, and for a week not seeing him, it affected him so much that I didn't know, and it affected me. So I'm even thinking, I know I'm going to enjoy the offsite, but I'm now realizing I'm so glad that we have this remote work and that we have this opportunity to spend this time with our loved ones, because I'd hate to have been not there, when he was his first year of life. So something is just going to cherish. Mm-hmm. Chuck, any points you wanted to add on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just plus one you on the travel bit, right? So being in sales prior to the pandemic, traveling was just part of the job. It was something you managed as part of your week to week, right? I'm going to be gone 2 days, 3 days, whatever that may be. And over the last couple of weeks, you start to think 2 years, you're ready to get going again, But then once you start traveling, you're like, man, this is hard. Like, I didn't realize how stressful this was, and security and being away from your family, being in strange places. It actually used to fuel me to travel, like I'm going somewhere new. And now it's not that I'm reluctant to do it, but it just feels heavy while you're doing it, right? It's a bigger lift. You get a different outcome, but it's still in line with the overall outcome that you can support virtually, right? So Alawna talked, she spoke about connections, and yes, it's great to be with the team. It's great to be in front of customers, et cetera. But it's almost like you need recovery time. I used to be able to get off the plane and, sit around for an hour and then just pick up with work. This last trip, I got back and it was like, hey, I need a half a day. I mean, it's the energy it took to do all of that was just, it was a surprise to me.
It's landing on me now that we have changed after the 2 years, because I think, like what you said, traveling used to actually fuel me with energy, but now it's like you have to admit that you haven't done it for so long. You can't just come off a flight and say, oh, I'm going to start working now. And we've been used to that connection with loved ones there. We know that we're missing different things now, whereas before we weren't even aware, that we were missing those things. And I am looking forward to traveling, but now I just realized it's got to be something important, and it's got to be, you got to know why you're doing it. So like our offsite, you know, the people you work with, I think that's really important, that you get to connect at least once every 6 months or once a year, so that you really get to meet the people that you're, like I put it in the
Well, so if we piggyback on the travel, it also exposes the value of mental fitness, right? So flights are being canceled more now than ever before, and you can literally sit back and you can see, all right, who has a strength, a behavior strength and calm and focus, who's off the chain. And now you start to see this and you're saying, well, you know what? Why am I not upset that I got stuck in LaGuardia at 10 o'clock at night and I'm able to navigate this? It's those mental fitness skills, and some people have it, and you can clearly see those who don't. And again, it's what you stack up when times are good, when you're around your family, that when you do get in those scenarios, you're not overwhelmed. You're not overwhelmed by it in a negative way. I mean, again, it feels heavy, but it's not like it's overwhelming. There's no conflict. There's no stress associated with it, as you see other people. They're just incapable of dealing with it.
Alawna, I'd love to hear your take on that.
There's just one thing that Chuck said that really stood out to me, was around like that awareness of, after I traveled, like that almost like grace period that you need to give yourself before you hop back into life. And I've been thinking about that, just even being at work, where working longer hours, we're working harder, we're producing more at home versus when we were in the office. I'm taking more breaks there, I'm socializing more. And I've been trying to incorporate that and give myself grace at work, on that topic of, after a big presentation or putting together a piece of work, like that would have likely taken up my entire day if I was in a traditional office, like, how can I build in more breaks and almost that like recovery time in my schedule? Because it's not just, okay, this was from 1:30 to 2:30. Now I'm ready to go at 2:45 to, I actually am going to need an hour after that call. Like I really need an hour. I need to get a snack. I need to get my mind right. And I can jump back in, because that's what I would normally do. And so, yeah, I just want to bring a little bit more human back into like the office and the workplace in a way where it would happen when I was in an office and I was able to keep myself better in check and I had better sanity than just like grinding at home.
And is it guilt that stops you from, say, if you did that presentation for an hour and a half, instead of taking an hour afterwards? Because if you were in the office, you probably had to go to someone's site to give the presentation. So you just think, I've got to travel back. So no, I'm not going to book any meetings. But when you're at home, it's like someone goes to your calendar and thinks, oh, your calendar's free. I don't know what it is. Is it guilt that gets in the way of saying, no, I need that time? So booking that kind of recovery time after a big thing like that.
I think it'd be a few things. I think it could show up as guilt for some people. It could also show up, like Chuck was speaking about earlier, of this culture of just busy and grinding and going. And that's just what I'm used to. And that's what's modeled for me. So I think it depends on the person, how that shows up. But I think something I do is like when I'm taking a break, it's going to be on my Slack status, and it's also going to be on my calendar. And I'm going to put in focus time, and I'm put on time when I want to go take a walk, because I am human and I'm not going to be able, it's robotic of me to spend 8 to 9 hours purely working. And so that doesn't work with my values. But you can believe that when I am working, I'm going to be focused on the highest priority, most urgent, and most business impact items. And if that aligns, great. And if not, we can have a chat. That's the realness.
If it's in my value system, good. But yeah, we can have a chat about it if you don't like it. I love that point.